I feel quite happy because all the figures are in line with our expectations. But what is much more important in this first quarter, we set a couple of very important points in terms of strategic developments. We developed and we signed an agreement with one of the top leading company in the IT world, because we want our technology to become not only an efficiency and effective instruments, but also a source of revenues. We signed another very important partnership in the real estate world with one of the leading company in Italy, Coima. So the combination of the two allowed us to communicate that our previous guidance in terms of net profit has increased. We will make more than 100 million euros worth of net profit in 2023.
We're in a strange period at the moment where I think investors, let's say savers, have witnessed the problems in the banking system in Switzerland, in the United States and elsewhere, and perhaps are becoming a little concerned about getting their money back. You are not one of the larger banks in your country. You are one of the more recent banks, actually, to set up shop. Have you seen any impact at all on depositor willingness to keep funds with you, to reduce the amount of money they have with you? What actions are being taken by depositors as they obviously watch some stress in the financial plumbing?
Really no sign and no concerns. We, as you said, we are not amongst the largest bank, but also those banks, we are all enjoying growing deposits. Obviously, today, even current accounts have to be remunerated because the new level of interest rates on the market need this kind of attitude. But the situation in the States and Europe is really different, and the right concerns that people can have in the US are not justified, would not be justified in Europe. It seems that in part of the US banking system, the basic rules of banking have been forgotten. Liquidity, concentration of risk, equity level. These are elements that in Europe are so well regulated and so well supervised that the kind of problems they are suffering cannot simply happen in Europe.
But are we living in, and very good morning to you, Corrado, nice to see you again, sir. Are we living in this dream world at the moment where no one in Europe, apart from obviously the huge events we saw at Credit Suisse, seems to be damaged by this massive historic increase in rates, i.e. none of the borrowers, none of the bank's balance sheets, they haven't got the problems with the sovereign debt, the doom loops. Nothing seems to have gone particularly wrong because of saying the regulation is strong. Even the delinquencies look stunningly low across the continent at the moment. It just doesn't feel right, Corrado. It feels like someone should be suffering somewhere.
You're right. It might happen, but let's not forget that we're simply getting back to normality. For the time being, the increases the central bank had to do simply brings us back to a normal situation. I would strongly suggest not to move more upward, because monetary policy is an instrument against inflation, and probably they have done what they could do from now on if they keep increasing interest rates. But I do not expect it. The drawbacks and the damages, the collateral damages of such a move would be very negative. But for the time being, again, let me use the same word for the third time, we're simply getting back to normality. I expect some growth in non-performing NP ratio on the banks, but since we are at the very lowest level, anything can be managed quite easily. So far so good in terms of getting back to normality.